Welcome to your ultimate guide for nailing the assistant property manager interview. Today, we're diving into key questions you might face and how to answer them like a pro. Let's start by discussing teamwork, a crucial skill in property management. So, can you recall a time when collaborating with a team was essential to achieving a property management goal? Can you think of a time when you had to work closely with others to accomplish a property management goal? Interviewers ask this to see how well you collaborate and how effectively you contribute to a team's success. Let's cover some pointers to help you frame your answer. Pick a project where teamwork was vital. Clearly outline your role and what you brought to the team. Share the positive outcome and its impact on the property or team. Discuss the communication methods you use to keep everyone on track. Mention any hurdles you faced and how you overcame them together. Now, let's look at an example answer to bring these tips together.
In my previous role at ABC Properties, our team worked together to prepare a large apartment complex for a new tenant move-in. I coordinated with maintenance to ensure all units were ready and scheduled team meetings to track our progress. We managed to finish the project ahead of schedule, ensuring a smooth transition for our new tenants.
By the way, we're only covering a handful of questions in this video, but I've prepared a free PDF with all 30 top interview questions for Assistant Property Manager. It also includes example answers and tips to help you prepare with confidence. The download link is just below. Let's talk about conflict resolution. Can you share an experience where you had a disagreement with a tenant and how you handled it? This question aims to understand your ability to resolve conflicts effectively, a vital skill for property management. Here are some strategies to help you answer this question. Select a specific conflict you've encountered. Clearly describe the issue, focusing on the tenant's perspective. Explain the steps you took to resolve the issue. Highlight your communication and problem-solving skills. End with the positive outcome or lesson learned. Let's put these tips into practice with a sample answer.
I had a tenant who was unhappy about noise from a nearby unit. I listened to their concerns and arranged a meeting with both tenants. Together, we discussed the issue and agreed on quiet hours. This improved relations, and the tenant appreciated the effort.
Now, think about your time management skills. When have you had to juggle multiple tasks and how did you prioritize them? Time management is crucial in property management. This question helps assess your ability to prioritize effectively. Here are some ideas on how to structure your response. Identify the tasks you had and the context. Share how you determine their urgency and importance. Describe your prioritization method. Discuss the outcome of your prioritization strategy. Reflect on what you learned from the experience. Here's an example of how you can answer this question.
In my last job, I had to manage tenant inquiries, prepare for an upcoming property inspection, and handle a maintenance request. I prioritized based on urgency, addressing tenant issues first because they affected resident satisfaction. Then I scheduled time to prepare for the inspection and lastly tackled the maintenance issue. This approach led to a successful inspection and improved tenant relationships.
Moving on to tenant complaints. How would you approach a situation where a tenant is bothered by noise from a neighboring unit? This question evaluates your ability to handle tenant complaints with empathy and efficiency. Let's consider some steps to guide your response. Listen actively to the tenant's complaint and show empathy. Gather details about the noise issue, including frequency and times. Check if there are any existing noise policies in the lease agreement. Communicate the issue to the neighboring tenant and encourage cooperation. Follow up with the complaining tenant to ensure their concerns are addressed. Now, let's see an example answer that incorporates these steps.
I would first listen to the tenant's concerns carefully and make sure they feel heard. Then, I would ask for more details about the noise, such as when it occurs. After gathering this information, I would review the lease agreement for any noise policies and discuss the issue with the neighboring tenant to find a resolution. Finally, I would follow up with the original tenant to update them and ensure they are satisfied with the outcome.
Finally, Let's discuss the eviction process. What steps would you take if you had to initiate an eviction? Interviewers ask this to assess your understanding of legal procedures and your ability to handle difficult situations professionally. Here's how you can break down your response. Review the lease agreement for violation details. Document all tenant communication regarding issues. Follow local laws and regulations for eviction notices. Prepare necessary documentation to file with the court. Coordinate with legal professionals if needed. Here's an example answer to illustrate these steps.
First, I would review the lease agreement to identify any violations. Then, I would document all communication I've had with the tenant about these issues. Next, I would issue the appropriate eviction notice in compliance with local regulations. After that, I would prepare the required documentation for court. And finally, if necessary, I would consult with a legal expert to ensure we're following the correct process.
Before we wrap up, remember you can get all 30 questions, example answers, and step-by-step tips in a handy PDF. Totally free. Just grab it below.